You know, as a poet, childhood uh, is a great storehouse of poems and of writing. Rainer Maria Rilke, the German poet, says in his book, Letters to a Young Poet, to the young poet, says, what am I going to write about? You know, I don't have experience. I'm too young. And he said, well, you have your childhood, and that should last a lifetime. And I have found that in my own writing. I'm always drawing on my childhood memories. And one of the things that happened that was very important to me that I didn't know, in fact, it is probably the reason I wrote the book and the reason I later had devotion to Mary. I was born in a little mining town, Gallup, New Mexico, on June the 10th, 1937 at 10:30 at night by cesarean section. And St. Mary's Hospital was the hospital, run by the Franciscan sisters. So all of this stuff from was coming together, and not known until much later. I may even have been a friar when my mother told me that at the time I was born, one of the sisters took me from my mother and went to the altar of Mary and dedicated me to Mary. Now this was, I knew that, didn't know that. My dad was a miner from one town to another. He was a labor organizer for John L. Lewis. We were really poor and going from one town to another. And I wasn't even baptized until I was 5 years old, and I never went to a Catholic school. And all of a sudden I get this vocation because the whole town, the only priests, sisters, brothers I knew were everybody, even the bishop was a Franciscan, either from Cincinnati or somewhere else back east. So I'm saying that because I believe that our whole spiritual life is an uncovering of what happens to us in baptism. It's all there. And we spend a lifetime uncovering who we already are, but don't know who we are. And that's the journey of prayer, uncovering that, and virtue. So, unknown to me, unconsciously, I was a Mary's boy from the time I was born, and didn't know that. But when I went to the seminary, somewhere along the line, Mary became this really important saint for me. She's the mother of God. She's close to Jesus. She's the mother who can be present to me. And I was, very devoted in a very sentimental way to Mary. I was at her altar every day when I was at the seminary. And during the summer, I would create little shrines out in the sandhills with a little plastic statue to talk to myself. And I was talking to Mary, but I was talking to myself about, what she meant to me. And that sentimentality, because I was 14 years old and was a young seminarian, was also conjoined with a kind of false spirituality at the time, that Mary is the Virgin Mary, and all of us little boys have to be thinking only of chastity night and day. So you can see there's the crunch that's going there. You know, little boys think, if that's the last thing little boys think of is chastity. They think of sex every minute of the day while they're going through puberty. So the understanding then was, if you get closer to Mary, you'll be this pure little boy. And there was a subtle denial of the body, of sexuality. Instead of integrating a psychosexual integration, there was a subtle kind of separation. Your soul was good, but your body was bad. And so, in a very innocent way, then, I and other boys like me were blaming Mary or thanking her that she's going to keep us pure. And why does she fail so often? But it's like, you know, that kind of conflict